Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1095, Better Off Dead in This World. That's a cheerful humdinger of a title, isn't it? So, the chapter has this lovely artwork to go with it of a squirrel monkey stealing Buggy's nose. I thought the nose was real, but apparently, according to this one viewer and this artwork from Oda, the nose can be removed under comedic circumstances. But enough about that. That's about the most comedy we get this chapter because, oh boy, you know what the best part of One Piece is? It's the tragic backstory time! But first, before we get into that, we start off with Luffy and Bonnie having just come face to face with this big Gorosei, and Bonnie stabbing him in the chest. The Marines are running around, they're screaming, they're like, oh god, one of the 5 elders have been stabbed, this is horrible, and Saturn just grabs Bonnie, and he looks at all the Marines and he says, you absolute dunderheads. If you thought I was afraid of her sword, don't you think I would have dodged? And he just flings Bonnie off of him. I mean, he's still holding her, but he just yanks her off, takes the sword out, and the wound just closes. Because of course it's not going to be that easy. If you could die that way, wouldn't Sabo's big fire fist have killed him previously? So, we don't know what they are. I'm still going on the big spider bull thing. Probably the others are yokai as well. But as it stands right now, that is the extent we see of Saturn's power. Because he doesn't really do anything else. He does take a look at Luffy on the ground and he goes, Nika, since I'm here. And he takes a big old foot and he goes to stomp down on Luffy. Just in time for Frankie to strong right, punching Luffy out of the way. And then he grabs Luffy and he yanks him back with his big chain arm. And Saturn looks down at him and he goes, oh, you're a pirate crew that cooperates. Well, that's interesting. And as Frankie's pulling Luffy back, he's like, oh, this is pretty cool. If our captains, even the 5 elders are after our captain, that's pretty nifty. The guys in charge of the world want to kill you, Luffy. Also, you are not looking good, my friend. We got to get you out of here. But as Saturn is sort of holding Bonnie and looking at her, hang on, I got this written here. Yes, he is telling, we got Nika here, we got Vegapunk here, the traitor, we have Jewelry Bonnie. I wasn't expecting the 2 pirates here, but I'm not going to argue with that. I would like to know, though, in what order should I kill you all? Please, tell me which order would be the most painful. I want the last man standing to be in the most regretful agony for betraying or challenging the world government as possible. So please, somebody, if we could take numbers, maybe everybody votes, kind of like a Survivor thing, who we voting off the island, who we killing first, however you guys want to figure it out. But I need to punish you all. Especially that Bartholomew Kuma, because, Bonnie, you keep blaming me for that. But it's his fault, because he was a member of the Buccaneer race. The second he said that, my mind was immediately like, oh, Charlotte Linlin. Because way back in Wano, it's nice to say way back in Wano. It's nice to say we're done with that arc. Not that I didn't love Wano, just, oh boy, that was a long arc. But back in Wano, when Big Mom was sitting there and she's with Kaido and she looks at King and she goes, hey, King, I thought your people were extinct. How would you like to be a member of my family? Because, I'm missing giants. I'm missing you because you're Lunarian. We didn't know he was Lunarian at the time. I'm missing your race and I'm missing one other. And that has been bugging me ever since. Apparently, the missing race that Big Mom's talking about must be the Buccaneer race, which is great that Oda chose an old-timey term for the last reveal, which I am going to say, I am predicting this is the last, racial reveal in One Piece, because otherwise Oda would have said Big Mom was missing, 4 races in her family tree. But yes, the Buccaneer race is the final race of One Piece that we have been introduced to. I will say, though, I am interested as to the way Saturn worded it when he said Kuma was the last one, as he is literally holding Kuma's daughter in his hand. Is this going to be another found family situation? Like, you know, how Nojiko and Nami, their real mother is Bellamere, but we don't know who Nami's biological mother is. Is Bonnie just a baby that Kuma scooped up and said, "Yup, this one's mine"? Or is she actually, like, I don't know. It's an interesting word choice there to say that Kuma was the last one while you are literally holding Kuma's daughter. Unless, as we see in a couple minutes, or a couple pages, that maybe it's not a female race. Maybe it's kind of like the Gerudo from The Legend of Zelda, where you have a child, and that child, while it is still considered, like, Gerudos have children with Hylians, but the child is always Gerudo. So maybe that's the case? But then, is it because Bonnie was a girl and only boys are Buccaneers? I'm reading way too deep into it, but I'll move on with the next chapter, with the next part. Hang on, let me take a look. Ah, yes. So, Bonnie, as she is being held by Saturn, starts thinking about the stuff Kuma has told her about Nika, the wonderful warrior of liberation who always had a song in his heart, literally, with a rhythmic beat that would bring about the dawn and joy and freedom, and it was something all slaves spoke of, as we finally dive into Bartholomew Kuma's backstory. Kuma's backstory begins in the Sorbet Kingdom, so that's nice. He actually will, we know because he was the king of Sorbet, that he does go back someday, which is really nice. It really cushions the blow of Kuma's backstory. So his father and his mother, they're looking at their cute little baby boy, and they're like, hooray, you know, we got a little son, we're going to name him Kuma. And his dad looks at the doctor and goes, hey, about his bloodline. And the doctor goes, don't worry, I won't tell anyone that he's a Buccaneer. It's okay. And unfortunately, the world government was sniffing around like they do. And Kuma, his mom, and his dad all get captured, and they are made slaves. As we learned from the celestial dragon that is holding Kuma, he's like, oh, look at my Buccaneer slave. Like, this was back when Kuma was like 9 years old. He's like, look at my Buccaneer slave. He's such a little kid, but he's so strong. So the Buccaneer race must be just a physically superior human, just in terms of like physical brutality. We do hear a little bit later that they might have giant blood in them, which, by the way, opens up the entire can of worms that I have been defending for a long time of, you know, how people are always like, oh man, how come there are such big humans in One Piece? Like, why is Big Mom so tall? Why is Whitebeard so tall? We have lived in a world with giants. We have a half fishman, half giant person on Foxy's crew. We have shown signs that fishmen are compatible with humans. Is it not possible to think that giants and humans, over so many years of intermixing, have created such various heights? I didn't know this was such a big pressure point for me. But anyways, apparently Buccaneers must have it a little more than everybody else does, and that's what causes them such great physical strength. So during his time as a slave, unfortunately, Kuma's mother does pass away. And it's even sadder when his dad tells him that this is a good thing. She's in heaven now, she's not a part of this anymore, and we have to live on for her. And Kuma even tells him, Dad, but I want to die. Why do I have to stay here? And he's like, no, she was better off dead. But we can keep moving forward because we still have the hope of Nika. And his dad tells him stories of Nika, the warrior of liberation who will come and free everyone. And as long as you keep that rhythm, as long as you keep that heartbeat, you can be free. Going back to a few chapters ago, it is that same heartbeat that started up that giant robot. How hard would it be to think that if a heartbeat can be heard from Luffy all the way to the basement of Vegapunk's lab where the giant was being kept, how hard would it be to believe that a robotic Kuma halfway across the world could also hear it? And then his way to Mary Joie, and then his way to Egghead. Which, by the way, I do want to correct myself. I was wrong. The Kamabaka Queendom is actually in Paradise. I said a few chapters ago that it was weird that he would bounce to there and then bounce back to Egghead. No, apparently he was bouncing there, and then he'll probably bounce to Egghead. I'm going to guess that despite Kuma's fruit being as amazing as it is with transportation, it still has to make a stop at the red line in order to climb up and then get to a point where he can his way back down, because it is just too high up to lob someone, even himself, over it. So I just want to make that little clarification. But maybe the Drums of Liberation actually got the Kuma robot to head towards Luffy to help him. This Kuma may be fully gone. Although I'm still on the idea that the soul is still there waiting to be transferred to the Seraphim, because I think that would just be really cool. Plus, Kuma would get to relive his childhood a little bit. Because the Seraphim does age faster, but it's not impossible to at least be a little kid for a little bit. That'd be kind of cool. I'm still on that theory that Kuma will inhabit his Seraphim and be an even bigger threat to the world government. But going back into the flashback itself, we cut to 38 years ago at a wonderful place full of natural resources where the world government, the Celestial Dragons, have decided to host their annual or semi-annual or just every now and then game of taking over an island and killing its inhabitants by hunting them for sport. Oda, we already hate the Celestial Dragons. You did not have to stack something on that list, but apparently the world's most dangerous game is a part of this. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, knife monopoly. But that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about hunting people for sport, which is horrible. And where are they hunting people for sport, you ask? Well, let me tell you about a little place called God Valley. So as the king of God Valley is protesting them hunting his people for sport, he is immediately shot on sight by Saint Garling Figurland in his much younger years, which, I gotta admit, he does look suspiciously like Shanks. So the whole, film Red Figurland blood, the whole Shanks, the whole Moonhead dude that we saw earlier, it's starting to pile up a lot more that Shanks might actually be a Celestial Dragon, which I still think it's weird that he can come and go as he pleases from Mary Joie, because as we saw with Doflamingo's family, leaving Mary Joie automatically cuts you out of the deal. But maybe they have a grandfather clause, or I guess a grandbaby clause, where because he didn't leave by choice, he's still considered a Celestial Dragon. Whatever the reasons are, the theory that Shanks is a Celestial Dragon is starting to become less and less a theory. So for killing the king of the island, Figurland has lost an extra 10,000 points, which to him seems to be a very fair handicap to make it a fair fight for everyone. And we cut away from him in this conversation to a young Kuma trying to run away from this manhunt. The other slaves, because I guess they're in groups of 10, they get mad at him because, hey, if you get away, we're all going to get executed for letting you get away. This goes to show us a very crab pot mentality among the Celestial Dragon slaves, where it's like, oh, one of us getting away is not good enough. We need to grab you and drag you back into the crab pot because we're all supposed to die. It doesn't matter if one or two of us gets out. No. Either we all get out or we all die. There is no in between. Which is a horrible mentality that causes a very easy victim cycle. And obviously, hopefully by the end of One Piece, this is all going to be resolved, but it really gives you a dive into how hopeless being a slave of the Celestial Dragons is. But hope is not completely lost. As these slaves are dragging Kuma back to his demise, up on a cliff they hear, hee-haw! As we get to meet a 15-year-old Emporio Ivankov. As he's like, listen all you slaves, oh, you must be the big boy. You're the big prize. You're one of them buccaneer guys. And this girl comes up next to him, and the girl's name is Ginny. Never seen this character before. But she goes, yeah, he's a big guy. My brother's pretty big too. And Ivankov goes, oh no, that's just my face. Wait, what do you mean big? That's mean. Anyways, listen you little slaves. I, who is also a slave, would not want to die. So, I choose life. What say you? And yeah, apparently Ivankov's always been this eccentric. I don't know if he has his devil fruit yet, because let's face it, that just increases his eccentricity 100-fold. But if he was always like this, then this was a man destined to get the Horm fruit. As for Ginny, I'm interested in this character. I saw one comment saying that she could be Bonnie's mother, given that she's eaten a big haunch of meat, which, you're a slave, how did you get one of those? But two, she's around their age, and she's the only other female slave we've seen aside from Kuma's mom in this flashback. So, early theories, this could be Bonnie's mom. Another possibility some people pointed out is this could be Crocodile. The Crocodile is a woman theory could be true. However, that's debunked extremely quickly when you realize Ivankov told Luffy that he knew Crocodile as a rookie pirate. So, keep the theory alive if it is one of your favorite theories, but this can't be Crocodile because the timeline just doesn't add up. Whoever Ginny is, I'm sure that as a flashback character that we've never seen until the flashback, absolutely nothing bad will happen to this character. We're on break next week, so if the tension wasn't high enough as it is, we have gotten the beginning of Kuma's backstory. I have been waiting for this, I have been wanting this, I'm willing to wait another week, and I hope you are too. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.